Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier on Tide 100.9 on your radio dial. This is a beautiful Thursday morning. We're live, local, and ready to get things rolling right here on your home for Alabama sports. Lots to get to. The GOAT spoke over at SEC Media Days yesterday. Didn't have a lot to say per se, but did have a couple of things to say that would allow us to find out exactly what he's thinking in regards to the QB situation, given an old analogy back to his days of being a little child beside his grandmother. So we'll talk about Nick Saban and the SEC. We'll talk about all SEC candidates. We'll see if the guys who showed up definitely, if you got to see the video, you can see the impact of the NIL on the threads that these college students are wearing. Kool-Aid McKinstry had some bling on. I will say JC Latham sporting his TK, Trench King, speaking to the attitude and the mindset of this particular football team and the offensive line. If you're an offensive line, old school running back, run dominated team, you had to like what JC Latham had to say in terms of what this Alabama football team wants to do, be, how they want to act. And then, of course, we'll also have a little recruiting with MaX Sports. At MaX Sports, we'll break down some recruiting news and find out exactly what's happening there, as we'll bring X into the conversation at that point. But it is a beautiful day that the Lord has made. So let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. So go ahead and put your thoughts and your comments, your suggestions, etc., on chat, and we'll work it into the conversation. And so we appreciate you being a part of the show. Thanks for all that you do to make the Martin Houston Show what it is. In Jesus' name, we are going to have a great one today. Thanks for all the Bama fans. Is it finally football season? Is it finally football season up on us? And Nick Saban and his crew of talent that went over, well represented over at SEC Media Days. You know, as I listened to Nick Saban just a little bit, and he talked about the circumstance or situation with the quarterback, I, I asked myself, is this Nick Saban? Um, is this Nick Saban trying to keep all the guys engaged, or is he legit going to let the cake bake completely in the oven because he doesn't want to run a mush quarterback out there? What am I talking about? Nick Saban, when asked about the quarterback situation and competition, saying it's wide open. It's still a all-out competition between the guys and that are competing for the job. But he said, when he was a kid, when he was a kid, he'd stand by his grandmother and he'd go, Grandma, when that cake gonna be ready? When that cake gonna be ready? Uh, and she would go, Nikki, if I pull it out too soon, it's just gonna be mush. So we have to let it go through. Is that the origination of the process that he learned from his grandma? Maybe, but he's gonna let that cake cook completely through, and that's what he's saying is gonna happen with this Alabama quarterback competition. I truly don't have a problem with that. I truly don't have a problem with this quarterback competition rolling on through the summer and into a couple of weeks into camp. But I really, really hope that they have a quarterback decided before the first game. Let me tell you why. First of all, the reason I hope that the competition really is still open is because these guys are pushing each other to get better. They're working hard in the off season. They're working hard to get better and better and better, and hopefully working with the wide receivers, taking extra reps, doing everything that they need to do to get better, to be the best they can be. So that's what I hope is happening this summer. Um, and then when the camp comes, in those scrimmages, it's going to be the first time in a while that those scrimmages are absolute mission critical. They have to uh, perform in those scrimmages, and it's not just to go through. And so hopefully we're going to see um, true competition in the spring. And because of that true competition in the spring, I mean, not in the spring, I'm sorry, in fall camp, I think that not only helps the quarterbacks, I think it helps everybody. Because how can you determine um, your best quarterback if you're not going all out for every position, every play? And I think you'll see a full scale uh, offensive playbook being rolled out this summer, those first few weeks and first few summer camps. Hopefully by the third scrimmage, they would have had their quarterback settled. Where in the past, Nick Saban has gone into the season when he's had this type of competition ready. You didn't always have that. He didn't always have a quarterback settled, and I hope he does, because I think it's a dangerous proposition to have Texas coming in week two when your quarterback, nor your team knows who the guy is. So I hope that they will be able to have that completely settled by then. If they do, then I think Alabama stands a really, really good chance to go against Texas and come away with a win. If they're still wondering, I don't think this Texas team is a USC team that where you started Blake Barnett, knowing that Blake Barnett was not your guy. Anybody that watched that game could tell really quickly that Blake Barnett was not the guy. I mean, the guy looked like a deer in the headlights. Oh my God, his eyes were like, if you're looking at the video, you can see it bucked. I mean, he looked like he was terrified. And then Jalen Hurts comes in, and everybody forgets Jalen Hurts fumbled his first snap as a starter, as a player. And then he turned around and turned it around, went on to have a great game against USC and to become the SEC Offensive Player of the Year as a true freshman. And I think that the reality of it is, I think this Jalen is farther along than that Jalen was at that point in his career. I also think that this team has as much talent or more talent offensively, especially in the front line, than that team did as well. Now the defense, that's still up to be decided. I don't think it's as good as that defense, but not being as good as that defense is plenty of leeway. So as you look at what's happening around that particular position, it's going to filter down to everything else. It's going to filter down to everything else. Every other part of this offense is going to be based on how this quarterback position plays, or they want this position to play. I am hoping that they want this position to be a game manager and not a Heisman Trophy winner. And we'll talk about what does that mean coming back on the other side. We appreciate you getting up and at 'em with us on the live stream. We're not broadcasting on the radio right now, but we are broadcasting live on the live stream. So get your thoughts, your comments, and your suggestions in, and we'll work them into the conversation as we go to break here. Hang on, we'll be back in just a moment to keep the conversation going right here on your home for Alabama sports. This is the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. Come on and be a part of what we got going on. Glad to be back with you. Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. We were talking about Nick Saban and what he had to say about the quarterback position. And, oh, sorry. Um, we are so glad to be back on. And like I said, we're trying to figure out what's going on the technical side. And with that being said, makes for an interesting morning as I try to keep the audio going with you guys, working on the other side to see if we can get X connected and then also at the same time figure out what's happening with the radio. So, like I said, guys, this is what happens when you have live radio. It can be extremely difficult to pull everything off when there's technical difficulties. So, as I was saying when we went to break, we were talking about Nick Saban and what's happening with him. And I think, as I said, I hope he gets the quarterback situation figured out, completed, made whole, whatever word you want to use. But I still like what I heard from J.C. Latham. J.C. Latham said that they want to dominate in the trenches. They want to be a dominant force in what's happening on this offense. They want to be the leaders. They want the team to depend on them. They want the team to keep them. Uh, I mean, not keep, but trust them to lead the way. And he has a new charm and necklace. TK. TK Trench King. And if you're an Alabama fan, you gotta like that. You gotta like what you hear when you see that. I'm gonna see if I can bring X in. If I can't, we'll just it'll be you and I. X Xavier, can you hear me this morning? X, can you hear? I don't think he can hear me. So
I can.
uh, so you're good. We were talking in the first part about the quarterback position and getting going, and then we talked a little bit about J.C. Latham talking about this being a running scenario. If you can hear me, let me hear your response to what's happening or what your thoughts are on J.C. Latham saying that this offensive line wants to be dominant. They want to be. They want to. It kind of sounded. He didn't say these words, but kind of what Saban said. They want to make people quit. Now, I don't think he can hear me, so I'm going to go ahead and close him out, and we'll make the rest of the day work to the best of our ability. So I appreciate you guys sticking around with me. How does it make you feel as a Bama fan to know that the offensive line is all in on being a dominant offensive line? How does that make you feel as a Bama fan? Do you get excited knowing that Tommy Reese, who loves to run the ball at Notre Dame, now comes here with more talent, more ability, more a stable full of running backs? Uh, does that make you get excited about this team? Um, Knowing that we're going to maximize, I believe, all the talent on this team. I think our quarterbacks will be very, very capable, but this offensive line, he pretty much said, J.C. Latham pretty much said, it doesn't matter if you're first team, second team, or whatever, whoever the guy is next to you or next to him, he wants to dominate and they want to dominate, which means that there's a lot of depth, a lot of competition on this offensive line. And there's nothing like a group of big hog mollies that are motivated to be the best, to be physically dominant, to be kind of the leaders on the team. And so it gets me excited to see. And then when they ask him about the running back position, they specifically mentioned I thought it was interesting. The gentleman that was interviewing him said, "Man, you got a running back room full," and he said, uh, "Rodell Williams, Jace McClellan, Jamar Miller, who they've not seen on the big stage." And when it went back to J.C. Latham, he said, "And Justice Haynes." He literally, it wasn't that he discounted the other three guys that were named. He specifically, instead of responding to what the question was about the three, he added Justice Haynes to that running back room of capable running backs. Uh, and I think that speaks volumes to just what type of player Justice Haynes is. We saw some of it in the spring. We heard Saban talk about it. And when Saban talks about a freshman in that way, it usually is a really, really good sign of what's to come. And I think that another interesting part of J.C. Latham's comments when it comes to what happened with what's going on with uh, the running back room is that he started talking about not only can these guys run outside, not only can they run away from you, but all of these guys possess a level of power to run over you. Sounding that is music to my ears, and hopefully it's music to your ears as a Bama fan. You have to be excited about what's going on with that running back room. Will Alabama this year have an all SEC running back because of that all SEC front? We have a couple guys as we talk about all SEC. We got a couple guys on there that may very well put themselves in a position to be all SEC from the offensive line standpoint. So let's look at a couple of guys uh, who may be candidates as offensive linemen, because I think if you get the offensive linemen, if you get a couple offensive linemen uh, in that all SEC class or rank or level, now you're talking about the possibility of your running backs also getting there. So first of all, let's go down and look at the obvious choice right off the bat was the guy that Nick Saban chose to go over to Atlanta and represent the team in junior J.C. Latham. J.C. Is a guy 6'6", 335 pounds. He is a thick, big bodied guy. One who I think, without a doubt, possesses all the tools. Um, Thought he would be a left tackle when he came in, but looks like he's going to settle in more as a right tackle. Not a bad pass blocker, but a dominant run blocker. And the other thing that J.C. Latham I think possesses is he has a little bit of that nasty, old school nasty in him, and I will not be shocked to see him get a couple of penalties for hitting late, personal foul, etc. So we'll, but if it means that he's going to play nasty and get all the other guys excited and nasty and be dominant in the run game, I think I'll take one or two of those this year. But J.C. Latham is definitely one of my candidates for the a guy who I think, without a doubt, will be one of the people that I would put on the line on the list really quick from a offensive all SEC selection. The next guy that I would put on there is the guy that's going to be his cohort in crime right next to him, Tyler Booker, who's 6'5", 335, and showed some special skills last year as an offensive lineman, being able to play multiple positions and within the same game, being able to pull and lead out on certain types of runs. And in this particular offense, with that type of player at guard, I think it's going to give Tommy Rees all types of options in the run game. Will we see more counters? Will we see more traps where those offensive linemen are not just blocking head on, but you're allowing some of these defensive linemen to move forward? Will we see, like we used to see back in the days, where you had a lot of plays where you knew this is going behind the left side of the offensive line, or this is going behind the right side of the offensive line? With J.C. Latham and Tyler Booker side by side, you have one guy that's 6'6", 335. The other guy 6'5", 335. So you have 670 pounds of men right there beside each other on the right side. If you don't run behind that all day long, especially, think about this. As the game has changed, defensive linemen have gotten smaller. Offensive linemen have gotten bigger and more athletic. But instead of taking full advantage of that bigger and more athletic offensive linemen, a lot of teams have gone to RPOs where you don't get to take advantage of that guy firing off. Okay, let's just look at Alabama. Actually, I'm gonna hold that. I'm gonna take a break and hold that thought to the other side. I want to do a comparison. Just if this offensive line is playing against Alabama's defensive line, and we decide that we're just going to be a downhill running team, who would you put in on defense to try to stop that right side of the offensive line? We're going to talk about that. We'll keep the conversation going because X is not here. I may give a couple quick highlights on recruiting, but we'll save that conversation to tomorrow. If you're just now tuning in, having some issues back at the studio. I'm flying solo this morning with you right here on the live stream. So thank you so much for being a part. Still would love to have your comments, your thoughts on Alabama, what Nick Saban had to say about the quarterback position that is still in the oven cooking. It's not quite ready. If he pulled the trigger right now, it'd be nothing but mush. Also talking about J.C. Latham and what he had to say about this dominant offensive line, how they want to punish people, how they want to push them around, how they want to be a run-based offense, and then him also talking about that running back room. And then the other conversation that we're transitioning to is, hey, what about these guys in the all SEC? We're talking about the offensive line right now as potential candidates, and that is, of course, J.C. Latham leading the way. But I think Tyler Booker may end up being one of Alabama's most dominant linemen when his career is over and done. We'll see about that and get our first preview of him being a full-time starter this fall. But that right side offensive line looks promising and looks dominant. We'll talk more about that. Love to get your thoughts and comments on the other side. You're listening to the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. Don't forget about Alabama One. Go check them out. Alabama One making you a winner with our getaway giveaway. There's a $5,000 grand prize. So if you're road tripping or spending the day on the water and you need some equipment to do that, or if you want to go out and take a jaunt through the woods or camping, recreational vehicles, equipment loans, auto loans, either one of those loans will make you a winner. There's a weekly road trip option that wins a $100 gas card, monthly weekend getaway, $1,000 Airbnb, and of course, once again, that one grand prize vacation to be given away at the end of October, a $5,000 magical gift card package. we'll make you a winner. So go to alabama1.org and follow the links, and our virtual branch will help you, or stop by one of our branch locations, and we'll be glad to serve you. This is the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. Due to technical difficulties, manning the ship by myself today, and we're live, local, and on your radio airwaves throughout the metaverse. So thank you all for tuning in on the live stream. Got a great show going. I want to invite you to get in on the conversation by joining us on the app. You can put your comments in, whether you're Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, whichever way you join us. I'd like to hear from you this morning. If you have any thoughts, of course, we'll circle back, of course, tomorrow and dig a little deeper with some of the SEC conversation. I'll dig a little deeper into what Nick Saban had to say, but I did like the fact that he's going to let this quarterback competition go at least through the summer. I really, 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 really hope that he settles it before we go into that first game, because the worst thing we could do is not have it settled in that first game, and neither guy really takes the bull by the long horns in game one, and then we're going to try to come out and take on the Longhorns in game two without a solid guy at quarterback, which leaves the entire team guessing and wondering. And you just don't want to go into that when you have a team that took you to the brink last year and on the verge of beating you, and feel like the last two times that they've had a legit shot to beat Alabama, a national championship game against Alabama, Nick Saban's first one. They feel like, and they still talk about it, hey, if they don't lose their quarterback, then guess what? They beat us. And then last year, they say the same story again. So they're thinking, if we keep our quarterback healthy, we can beat this Alabama Crimson Tide team. That's what's on their mind. That's what they're thinking. And the thing we don't need is to have any questions on our team, especially emanating from the quarterback room. So I hope Nick Saban keeps the competition going through in the summer, but settles this thing before we go into week one, so that the guy who will be the man against week one and week two will be getting the majority of the reps, know that he's the guy, and will be able to go out and perform. With that said, I think that this offensive line very well may help Nick Saban make that decision. You don't have to have an elite passer with this team. I think that you will be able to have a good passing game. And hey, listen, go over the top. Don't be afraid to stretch the field. A good interception. A good long deep ball at the right time that maybe ends in an interception may work just as well as a punt. And so that'll be okay. That'll be okay in moments, in seasons. But if you have a great running game, those play action passes, I think, are going to draw people up because I think people are going to start the season wanting to play in the box against us and make us pass it. But that doesn't mean that we abandon the run. Please don't do like Bill O'Brien. Just because they're in the box doesn't mean you don't run. Run different plays, make them honor the run, and then take it over the top. We had a couple of games this year that we started the game off with a play action pass. I'm like, well, you didn't. They don't. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I'll circle back on our offensive line because that's the conversation that gets me excited. Seeing J.C. Latham wearing his TK charm, which stands for Trench King, is what I was told. Trench King means that they're going to be the king of the trenches. You got to like that if you're an Alabama fan. But when you look at this offensive line, is it possible that this offensive line could produce at least three SEC selections? Is that a possibility? Could we have three SEC offensive linemen? Now, I'm not saying first team, but I think that there's a possibility that we could have at least three and possibly four SEC offensive linemen. And if we have, let me ask you a question, guys out there. If we have four players at some level, first, second, third, and there's one other category, SEC, does Alabama play for a national title? If we have that many linemen that end up on the list, will we be playing for a national title? Let me tell you the three to four that I think could possibly end up there. I think J.C. Latham, first team All SEC. I think Tyler Booker, All SEC. I mean, if I just take and extrapolate from what he was able to do last year to growth, maturity, understanding the game, and full-time reps and getting a feel for the game, I put him at first team. Worst case, one of those two end up second team. One of those two will be first team All SEC. The other one may be, and then if they don't make first team, then you're looking at two. I'm going to tell you someone who I think may get into the second team and at worst case third team All SEC is Seth McLaughlin. I think Seth McLaughlin is going to be a Barrett Jones type player, but I think he may actually, and I know people are going to think, with the run game, I think he may be even better. We saw what he could do in the Arkansas game. Go back and watch that film. He is athletic enough that he can snap the ball, get around, and get up to those linebackers. If you got a combo block with Seth and Booker on that right side, getting up to that linebacker, front side linebacker, if the play's coming behind them, I think that's a dangerous combo of ability to open up a hole. So looking forward to seeing that happen. And then the fourth potential person that I think would be there is if Alabama's big time freshman, if Caden Proctor ends up starting 6'7", 350 plus pounds. Wow. If he ends up in the starting rotation, I believe that he could be a first team freshman. I mean, could make the freshman all SEC team. I don't know that he would now. Now, if he's good enough to make the regular SEC team, and JC and Booker and McLaughlin are on some variety, and you have those four guys, whew, Alabama has dominated the running game. I'm talking about produced somewhere between 2,500 and 3,000 rushing yards for the season. Would you like to see that again, where Alabama's getting up in that? That I would go out and bold prediction that Alabama may even break their single season total rushing yard if you have that combination of people. Uh, I just think that it's set up to do something like that. Because here's the thing. Let's look at Alabama's defensive line. And as you watch Alabama's defensive line, I want you to think about running the ball against that defensive line. I mean, against our Alabama has a good defensive line. So I want you to think about this for a moment. Let me see. Tim Smith. Let's find Tim Smith. Tim Smith, a really, really, really good defensive lineman, lined up against, let's say that he's the inside guy. So that means he's going to be lined up against Booker. Booker's 6'5", 335. Now, Tim's not a little guy, but he's 6'4", 302. That's not little. That's a good sized guy. But if Booker's laying on him all game, Booker's not just a guy that is gonna RPO or step back. Think about Booker firing off, just firing off and mauling him. Think about that for a second. Who are you gonna take? And now, if we got a lot of running, passing, and our linemen are sitting back and a lot of RPOs, I'll take a 6'5", athletic, 335. Remove the names. Remove Booker's name and remove um, Tim Smith's name, and just put them on there. Just take a moment, and you have a 6'5", 335 pound offensive lineman, and you have a 300-pound first quarter. It may look like it's pretty even. Second quarter, okay. Now conditioning does matter, so that 335 pounder needs to be in shape. Second quarter, that 300 pounder is starting to slow down a little bit. By the third quarter, you're starting to move the ball. By the fourth quarter, that you've been laying on him. I'm talking about laying on him, like calling run plays. I'm going to go with that. And here's the other thing. People say, well, the other team's going to be scoring a lot of points. Well, they're not going to be scoring a lot of points because you're going to be killing clock. You're going to have time of possession. You're going to get their offense frustrated. And then when you do go down and score because they've been on the sideline for 7-8 minutes, they're going to come out and try to get their score back real quick, which is going to make them push. And then they're going to take a chance. And boom, all of a sudden, guess what? You now have a situation where they take bigger chances and you get a greater chance of turnovers. Then let's take JC Latham. JC Latham is 6'6", 335 pounds, okay? 6'6", 335 pounds. And let me see if I can find Dallas Turner's exact measurements. Dallas Turner is 6'4", 242. Let's say you have that, forget the names. You have a 6'6", 335, and you have a 6'4", 242. Why make that guy pass block on that guy 50 times versus making that 242 stop 45 runs by the third quarter, fourth quarter, you're laying on them. And I'm telling you, I think you're going to see that. Now, you can't just line up and do that. You have to be creative. You have to be creative with that. We'll we'll keep the conversation going. I love the idea of what this Alabama team could be, and JC Latham got me excited about it. Coming back on the other side, we're going to see if we can get Xavier on the phone and talk a little bit of recruiting, and then kick the conversation back. If we can't, we will do what we can. I want to apologize to those who are on the radio airwaves. We've been broadcasting on the live stream, but we are now on the local airwaves, so the phone lines are open, 205-342-9904. That's the Alabama One hotline. Go check out Billy's Cooking Restaurant today, Wednesday through Sunday, opening at 11 a.m. Go ahead and let me know what your thoughts are about checking out Billy's Cooking Restaurant. He's waiting on you. We got Wing Wednesday, Fish Friday, and Soul Food Sunday. We'll have more conversation on the other side.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no active wrecks. We're starting to see a buildup of traffic congestion around the area, especially at our major intersections. So just be patient this morning. Now, if you do see conditions, give me a call. Now through Saturday, Townsend Nissan is having a tax-free sale on all new in-stock vehicles. Townsend Nissan will cover your Alabama state sales tax. And there's more. Go see them at Townsend Nissan. I'm Captain Ray.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good Thursday morning. Brutal and dangerous heat and humidity will dominate the forecast for at least 2 more days. A heat advisory is in effect today and tomorrow, as the heat index is expected to rise to at least 106 degrees. That's a level that can be dangerous for those outside for any length of time. So stay inside if you can. If you can't, hydrate and take frequent breaks. Click TuscaloosaThread.com for more local news. It's free throughout the day. Don Hartley, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
Are you in the market for a new car? Look no further than Julio Jones Kia in Tuscaloosa. Our dealership offers the latest models and unbeatable deals to fit any budget. With top-notch customer service and experienced team, you'll be sure to drive off the lot with a smile on your face. Come visit us today at Julio Jones Kia in Tuscaloosa, where we make buying a car easy and enjoyable. Now, when you shop with the champ, get top dollar on your trades. Plus, we'll buy your car, even if you don't buy ours. Buy from Julio.com.
It's the Tuscaloosa Community Calendar, powered by Pepsi.
If you have a community event in Tuscaloosa in West Alabama, tell us about it. All you have to do is email the information to TuscaloosaPSA@townsquaremedia.com. Be sure to include all the details, like the cause, date, time, location, and a good contact name and number. Email it to TuscaloosaPSA@townsquaremedia.com.
Interact with the Martin Houston Show by calling us at 205-342-9904 or tuning into the Martin Houston Show on Facebook.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. It is a beautiful Thursday morning. We are live, local, and on your radio airwaves. We've been talking about Nick Saban and his comments about the mush. Is our quarterback room and our quarterback position still mush? Philip wants to talk about it. Philip, you're in with the Martin Houston Show on the Alabama One hotline. What's on your mind, sir?
Yes, good morning. All I wanted to say was more than anything, I'm interested in how Jordan Rodgers and McElroy can make those assessments on who Alabama's starting quarterback's going to be, because, you know, even though Greg played at Alabama and all that, I don't consider those two to be all that close to the program. I just wonder how they can come up with that.
Well, first of all, McElroy is going to say whatever he thinks pleases everybody that's not Alabama. Okay. Thank you, Greg, for winning Alabama's first national championship under Nick Saban. Done. You know, I mean, like I said, I think that he to me, he lost. Don't get me. He's good at what he does, but he lost a lot of Alabama folks because he wanted to I think he wants to be the next Herb Street, and he very well may be that guy, right? But to me, sometimes, Philip, he goes out of his way to be contrary to what Alabama fans are thinking or saying, or to make his bosses know that he's not biased to the Alabama way. And Herb Street never had to do that, in my opinion. Herb Street has been one of those guys that, even though we've had several battles with Ohio State, he was always able to kind of be right. I mean, you know what I mean? Like be honest for the most part. He's always been able to do that. And so those guys don't know anything. That there's nothing that they have seen nor heard that makes you say that what's his name is better than Jalen Milroe. There was nothing from the spring that caused Jalen to lose the job, but Jalen didn't do enough to separate either. Ty didn't do anything to win the job, but he also didn't do anything during spring to cost him an opportunity. And that's where the quarterback room sits, in my opinion, Philip. You got anything else?
Yeah. No, I agree with you, and that was a great answer, and I appreciate your time. And I sure missed your show this morning, but I'm glad you're back on.
Well, hey, listen, I tell you, man, if you ever miss all, and if we're not on airwaves, if you have access to Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube, then we go live at 6:00 every day. Whether it's we hope to be always want to be on the radio airwaves, but we have the live stream and a lot of people interact there as well. So,
I heard that woman, another guy talking a minute ago, and I couldn't take it.
I understand. I appreciate you hanging with me till we got on, man. Thank you.
Appreciate it. See you.
All right, Pat, you're in with Martin and Xavier. I know that Xavier's not on this morning because we had some technical difficulties, but what you got for us on the Alabama One hotline, sir?
I want to talk about our newest acquisition from Northridge High School. Tell me about this guy, Morton. That 4.6 hang time. Now, he doesn't have the kind of driving distance, but 4.6 hang time gives your gunners plenty time to get down and cover the punt.
Pat, have you ever had a situation where you see someone and then all of a sudden you don't see them for a while and then you go, really? Well, that would be my situation with Anderson Green. Anderson was a youngster when I was there, and to see him where he's at, first of all, see where he's at physically, to see where he's being recruited is, and I'm being honest, and that's the only way I know to be, is a shocker. Okay, so I've not seen him punt since he was that little kid. So I'm going to make sure that I don't underestimate his ability because of the information I had when he was like a 9th and 10th grader, right? Yeah. But I can tell you, I'm shocked at the growth he's made. But you know who else I would have been shocked at? I felt the same way about Wilkin as a freshman, but because Wilkin, I saw Wilkin grow up because of him and Simeon's relationship. I saw him go from that long, lanky, uncoordinated 8th grader with just a big body to become a D1 player. And so kudos to Anderson Green. I don't know if this is a scholarship commitment or anything, because I just saw it this morning. What
I saw, it showed him as being it said that he had a committable offer.
I mean, so he is he's a local kid who has, first of all, his body changed, and he's done great. So kudos to him. That if he had a committable offer and he's committed on that, that shows you what Alabama thinks of him as a punter. To accept a commitment at this point in the season from a punter speaks volumes to this young man and how much he's grown. So
Yeah.
it's great to see local kids get to play for their hometown team, and so excited for Anderson and what that means. And I'll have to go check him out at some point at Northridge this year to see just the improvement. Like I said, and I'm not being ugly with this. It would have been the same shocker if I had not seen Wilkin play from the time he was a freshman and sophomore till he was a senior. But I got the opportunity to do that and watch him grow. I've not had that opportunity with Anderson. The stats, I think it's Cole's kicking school. He won the contest there. Has a consistent average. I think it was over 45 yards, as you mentioned, the hang time. So all of that bodes extremely well. And here's the thing. He will only get better, in my opinion, from where he was. So kudos once again to Northridge. I mean, Northridge, and had the young man not went over, TJ not went down to Hillcrest, Northridge would have had another D1 player because he kind of came up through the Northridge ranks, even though he committed to Ole Miss, TJ Banks. So, hey, look at Northridge putting out some talent, developing some talent. So we'll see what else happens. Anything else you got before I let you go, man?
Yeah. I know a whole lot about punting. If you remember Chris Moore, who was punting back in your day, and Chris Moore played for the Bills. That Chris used to do, and he played at Alabama too. And it might have been was Chris your punter?
He was there before. He was older, and then when I came.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, I watched him, and he was. But in the pros, hey Pat, and we're going to talk recruiting tomorrow. So just call back. We'll get X back on. Okay. But I'll say this: one of the things they mentioned about what's the name was he has control of his drop, and that's what Chris was really good at. Chris knew how to drop the ball to make it be a sky punt, a coffin punt, or distance. And that's all about how you drop the ball and place it on your foot.
Really good at angle punch. He was great at angle punch.
Yep.
All
right, man. Have a good one. Thanks, Pat.
Bye-bye.
All right. Hey, thanks out there in Radio Land and on the live stream. We appreciate you being a part of the show today. As we wrap things up on tomorrow, we'll bring X back in. We'll be live and local from start to finish. I'm Martin Houston. This is the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier on Tide 100.9. Remember this: trust in the Lord always. Lean not your own understanding. All your ways acknowledge Him, and He will direct your paths. Roll Tide out to everybody. And remember this: Harvest Church, loving God, loving people. Come check us out this Sunday. We'd love to have you be a part of what we have going on there. So long out there. Have a blessed, prosperous, and successful day. Roll Tide.
Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app. Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no active wrecks. We're starting to see